بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. Our today's session is on Surah Alaq, which is Surah number 96 in Quran. It was the first surah that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alaq comes from alaqa, which means attached and hanging on to something. And it also has some other meanings, one being clinging substance, leech, coagulated blood, blood clot, early stage of embryo. So just giving reference to infancy, to beginnings. And this was the surah that was brought down to Prophet Muhammad as beginning of the end of the series of prophets that Allah Ta'ala sent to earth. It was revealed to Prophet Muhammad in two phases. Today, I'm going to talk about the first phase, which is first five ayat. And this happened in the year 610 AD, roughly when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about 40 years old. And context of these ayat, very well known. And first five ayat hold very special significance in Islam. In the days preceding the first revelation, according to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to have dreams that would appear to be as if he was in a state of being awake and he was watching everything unfold in front of him. And those dreams would come true. Those were all good dreams, good things happening in those dreams. And then that from there came a transition to where he started spending time in Ghar Hira, which is the Hira cave. He would go there, spend a few days there, then come back, replenish supplies, and then go back. So that back and forth continued. Now, at this point in time, based on what I've read, is he did not know a particular way of worshiping, but he would contemplate. He had always been Sadiq and Amin. He had a stature in Makkah. He had a reputation in Makkah. Everyone who had dealt with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at that point, only Muhammad ibn Abdullah. At that point, everyone respected him for his truthfulness and his straightforwardness, his character, his business acumen. As we all know, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, he worked for her. So he had no idea about what was the right way or wrong way of worshiping. So most of his time was spent in contemplation, reflection, thinking, and all the signs that he had been seeing. So this was the context of first revelation. Now coming down to the five ayat. Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Read in the name of your Rabb who created. So read the very first word. It could have been so many other words, and I've covered this in my previous episode. It could have been anything, but Allah chose to tell Prophet to read. So the emphasis on reading, being able to read, knowledge, gaining of that knowledge, acquiring of that knowledge, acquisition, and then utility of that knowledge, so highly regarded by Allah. So read in the name of your Rabb who created. And not just read in the name of your Rabb. So right off the bat, Jibreel alayhi salam brings wahi to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At that point, he wasn't a prophet, in which he's told, read in the name of your Rabb. So as we all know, I found out a few years ago that all our ruhs, all the souls of all the individuals who would ever grace the earth had been created, and they were together in Arafat, where Allah asked them, and Allah got their acknowledgement. that am I not your Rabb? And all the souls of all the human beings who would grace the earth confirmed, yes. So what Allah is doing here is read in the name of your Rabb who created. Affirmation, confirmation, that read in the name of your Rabb who created, that I am the creator. So I'm asking you, I'm telling you to read. So going back to Alastu bi Rabbikum, read in the name of your Rabb who created. Who is the creator of all universe? Who was there in the beginning and who will be there at the end? So read in the name of your Rabb who created. There is no one else who does this, who creates life, created humans from a clinging clot. And here Allah tells us, Allah tells Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, created humans from a clinging clot. So from that minute existence, I gave you this form. I gave you two eyes, two hands, two arms, two legs, a perfectly functioning body, a heart, set of kidneys, set of lungs, all your functional systems, all coming from that clinging clot that is so sensitive that could just break any time. So created humans from a clinging clot. And that clinging clot turns into, over the period of 9 months, it turns into a full-fledged human being, a baby at birth, and then develops in a fully functional human being, an adult form. You develop consciousness, cognitive functions, physical functions, motor functions. So created humans from a clinging clot. Allah here also, this is when I read this ayat, what comes to my mind is Allah is telling us, do not forget your beginning, created from a clinging clot. This is where you started. You want to remember your beginning, where you started from. Read and your Rabb is the most generous. Once again, reiteration, read, acquire knowledge, gain knowledge. Know that you do not know everything. Know that you do not know most of the things. Know that you will have to pay attention to different signs in the universe, in your own world, in the sky, on the earth, on the ground, in the water, on your skin, palpitation of your heart. You're sweating more, you're not sweating. You want to read the signs, you want to be able to read the signs. But for you to be able to understand those signs, you would need to read. And the very basic form of that is to be able to gain knowledge. If something is written, if something is not written, you want to be able to understand that. Reading what's written and trying to understand what is being said to you. So read, and your Rabb is the most generous. And of course, your Rabb who has created not just you, this entire world, the galaxies, the universe, from Malaika to Jannat, Jahannam, everything and everyone, your Rabb is most generous. There is no one more generous than your Rabb. And then who taught by the pen? Who taught by the pen? Allazi allama bil qalam. जिसने इल्म सिखाया कलम से. And this is pointing towards being able to document what we have taught you from the very first human being up until this point. Everything that your Rabb has taught you, that you have been able to document, human beings from Adam alayhi salam all the way till now, everything that has been documented, that has been because of the teachings, because of what Allah, your Rabb, has taught you. Your Rabb has taught human beings how to write, taught by the pen. to be able to make those discoveries, to be able to make those advancements, to be able to communicate with different cultures, to be able to communicate with different tribes, to be able to write those scrolls and messages and different things, who taught by the pen. Could be poetry, could be political orders, diplomatic cables of that time. I'm not talking about these times today, but different communication aspects who taught by the pen. So referencing all the way back to this is what my understanding is, this is how I perceive this, right from Adam alayhi salam all the way to the point where Jibreel alayhi salam brings these 5 ayat to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who taught by the pen, is what Allah is telling Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then taught humans what they did not know. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. Allah is right there telling us, telling our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and taught humans what they did not know. There's so many things humans did not know. There's so many things humans will not know. And your Rabb taught them. Your Rabb taught them how to read, how to write. Your Rabb created them from a clinging cloth, being most generous, being there at the very start, and who will be there when there won't be anything. The generosity that Allah made you the best of His creations. That is the ultimate form of generosity, just going back to that ayat. That Allah Ta'ala made you, human beings, the best of His creations. What can be more generous than that? That you have free will. Malaika do not have free will. Human beings have free will. We are free to choose between good and bad. For our actions, by virtue of our actions, our place will be decided, how soon or how late what happens to us. So Allah is the most generous because Allah created us from a clinging cloth, taught us what we did not know, taught us by the pen, and taught humans everything that we did not know. So a good summary of this section is be ready to unlearn what you know right now. And this can apply to any walk of life. If you're an architect, if you're an intern, IT intern, if you're an accountant, a business entrepreneur, a salaried person moving into a better job, just be ready to unlearn to be able to learn more stuff to improve. Just applying this into my daily life here. Be ready to read. Be ready to say that, you know what? I do not know a lot of things. I know nothing. So let me read. Let me understand what this is. Let me understand the landscape before I jump into things. Our very humble beginnings, being created from a clinging cloth, to where we have become, where we are today. We're talking about AI. We're talking about going to Mars. So we're talking about moving out of solar system in terms of sending communication to the extent of the solar system. All from the very beginning, which was clinging cloth. And the generosity is that we are the most intellectually sound creations of Allah Ta'ala. Ashraful Makhluqat. So after this, Hazur Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went back home, went to Khadija Raziyallahu Ta'ala and shared with her what happened. And she immediately took Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to her cousin, Warqa bin Nawfal. And he was in his 90s, very, very old. One of the most noble families of Makkah. Warqa bin Nawfal was one of the most noble members of that family. So you see the context. That here's this guy who's lived 90 years. He is part of one of the most noble families of their time in Makkah. And Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, who is his cousin, he has known Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for quite some time. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got married to Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. So of course he knows Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone in Makkah knows. So when she takes him to Warqa bin Nawfal and they tell him what happened, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells him what happened. What he says is, this is the same namus, meaning bearer of secrets, pointing towards Jibreel alayhi salam. This is the same namus that came to Musa with message of Allah. And he right there confirmed that this was word of Allah, this was a revelation, and that this was an indication that Allah has chosen Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be his prophet. Now, once he confirmed that, he also said that I wish I had youth. I wish I had more days in my life because I want to support you when your people will drive you out. So he's saying this right after he's telling Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you are a prophet. Allah has chosen you to be the prophet. Right after this, he tells him that I wish I had more youth. I had more years left in me, more strength left in me, because I want to support you when your people will drive you out. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is like, okay, so why would my people drive me out? And he says, no man has ever come with what you have, referring to wahi, referring to prophethood. And when that man has gone to his people with that message of Allah, his people have welcomed him with open arms. So your people will drive you out. And I wish I had the time on my side to when you would need, I would support you. So right there and then, it's only been a few minutes that he's been talking to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's already, pledged support that if I live to see that day, I will support you. So he immediately told Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you are the prophet that I had been waiting for. I have read in the scriptures, and he was a very learned individual. He was not a Muslim. He was, but he was a very learned individual. Studied Judaism also. He studied religions. He studied scriptures. And he was getting ready to see this day based on scriptures. And when the time finally comes, he tells this individual who he has been meeting with for years that you are prophet. You are the prophet that Allah promised. A few days later, Warqa bin Nawfal passes away. So this was Surah Alaq, first part. First 5 ayat. The purpose of doing this is, and I thought, why not share this? Because if I have questions and I want to understand Quran and the message and what's been said in it, then I'm sure there are so many other people around the world who have questions, who want to understand, who want to know what is there. So I hope this first effort was worth your time. And if you learned something from this, please do say a prayer. I do ask for forgiveness. This is a very humble attempt to put together my understanding of Quran in context of revelation, in order of the surahs that were revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because I would like to go through that journey as it transpired. So that is the purpose I'm starting with Surah Alaq. Next session, we're going to do a second half of Surah Alaq. Please do provide your feedback if there was something you liked, if there was something you did not like. I am very open to feedback. That is the only way we're going to be able to learn. But I do need your help. I do need your support, your guidance, and your feedback. I'll see you next time with Surah Alaq, the remainder of the ayat. Allah Hafiz.